Hello viewers, welcome to Language Mission. இந்த வீடியோவில் வந்து TRB English 2008 to 2009 question தான் பார்க்க போகிறோம். First question, who was the Viceroy of India when the Rowlatt Act was passed? Lord Chelmsford. Which one of the following is the softest? Sodium. As a non-member who can participate in the proceedings of either of House of Parliament, Attorney General. Which is the river on which Indra Sagar Dam is planned to be constructed? Narmada. The first astronomer who gave the idea the earth rotates on its axis is Aryabhatta. Which one of the following angles cannot be constructed using an unmarked ruler and compass only 50 degrees? For a frequency polygon, the points are plotted against midpoint of the class interval with frequency. AICTE was established in November 1945. One of the main publications of John Dewey is Education Today. According to David Oswald, verbal learning is understanding verbal information. The Southern Regional Office of UGC is in Hyderabad. National Population Policy was evolved in the year 1976. According to Abraham Maslow, self-actualization in the hierarchy is final step. Who is the author of Emily? Rousseau. The university that has no affiliated college is Tanjavur Tamil University. Human Rights Day is December 10. Which one of the following models is not on curriculum development? The Hawkins model. The chief objective of pre-primary education is to promote dash of the child overall development. If the teacher finds in learners' activities something new or original, then the child is supposed to be creative. Which one of the following is not a learning domain? Physiological domain. When C tells D, you did well, you might top the list. D's response should be, I hope so. Which of the following sentences is correct? We are going for a movie. A menagerie is a collection of animals for a display. Which of the following statement is true? A pidgin is formed by the mixture of two or more languages. When a pidgin acquires native speaker, it is a serial. Macbeth murdered Duncan in his sleep. Shakespeare's last plays are characterized by the theme reconciliation. Which of the following is a minimal pair? Pin, bin. The lexicon set, chair, seat and settee illustrate a phenomenon known as collocation. On the Elizabethan stage, Juliet's gallery for the play Romeo and Juliet was located on the upper stage. Identify the expression that distinguishes between wit and humor. Wit is purely verbal, but humor applies to speech as well as behavior. Serpent and the rope refers to dash respectively, illusion and reality. Mr. Gradgrind is named so because he grinds in fact. The subtitle of 12th Night is What You Will. Which of the following characters is aimed at the pillory by the town fathers? Hester Prynne. Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon's war poetry is about the First World War. Lamb's essays have a strong element of pathos. The process of shortening of a word as in param from perambulator is called syncopation. Which of the following words is a portmanteau word? Branch. The untouchable is god of small things is Veluta. Which of the following genres of poetry has the element of storytelling? Ballad. Marlowe portrays Edward II as having an inordinate affection for Gaveston. Which of the following characters of the Tempest can be viewed as colonized subjects? Ariel and Caliban. The words bank and click illustrate onomatopoeia. Who earned the reputation of being Britain's war prime minister? Sir Winston Churchill. In Vijay Tendulkar's silence, the court is in session, the under trial is a teacher. On elegy laments the death of a person. You taught me language and my profit on it is I know how to curse. These profound words were said by Caliban to Prospero. Who speaks the words, eat it a little more, eat it well, eat it so that the point of the hook goes into your heart and kills you? Santiago. In shooting an elephant, the narrator decides to shoot the elephant because a white man mustn't be frightened in front of natives. The dream children of Lamb's essays are Alice and John, the father of modern psychology, whose influence may be seen in the works of D.H. Lawrence, is Sigmund Freud. Oliver Goldsmith, citizen of the world, is a Chinese observer of British manners and customs. To which period in the history of English literature can you attribute the rise of the novel, a literary form, 18th century? The English translation of the Bible was an outcome of the Reformation. Finding an analogy with the role of platinum as a catalyst, Dash wrote, "The mind of the poet is the stud of platinum." T.S. Eliot. The 100 Years' War was between two royal houses of England. The meat of sheep came to be called mutton because the cooks and the nobility who consumed it were French. The first dictionary in English was compiled by Samuel Johnson. In her poem Punishment in Kindergarten, Kamala Das conveys the idea that criticism hurts a child deeply. In the poem The Queen Rival, Sarojini Naidu reveals the rival to be the little princess. The poet's deepest wish in the poem once is the wish to be alone. The porter in Macbeth claims that he will equivocate. When Wordsworth climbed bliss, it was in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was heaven. He was referring to the French Revolution. To the writer, does the English language use the word utopia, which means ideal world? Thomas More. Slapstick humor is characteristic of low comedy. The en is used as an indicator of the plural in words, action, and children can be traced to Middle English. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no complaint, and all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word he was a saint. These lines are a word picture of Arden's unknown citizen. The famous line, "If music be the food of love, play on," is from Twelfth Night, which poet reiterates in his poem, "My body is God's happy living tool, my spirit a vast sun of deathless light." Sri Aurobindo. Which of the following characterizes the comedy of manners? Intrigues in relationships. Drama in England had its origin in the church. The uprising against Britain for Irish independence is commemorated in Easter 1916. Dash a flower delicious as the rose and stately as the lily in her pride. These lines describe the lotus. Which of the following is a Greek term which means purgation? Catharsis. The Boston Tea Party is a landmark event in the American War of Independence. The narrators of the Canterbury Tales are a group of pilgrims. A person is hurt on kicking a stone due to momentum. Which of the following harbor is not a natural harbor? Chennai. Recently, one Indian cricket player has become the sixth batsman to score 10,000 runs in Test cricket. The name of the player is Rahul Dravid. The Battle of Vandivas was fought between the English and the French. Linear programming is designed by B.F. Skinner. Which of the following first identified the secondary education as a weak link and suggested improvement? The University Education Commission, 1949. Intelligence test scores are reasonably stable after the age of 20. Which one is not an SR theory with reinforcement? Tolman's theory of learning. The emphasis of National Board for Adult Education and Curriculum is that it must be need-based. World First Aid Day is September 10. Following scores: 10, 11, 13, 10, 15, 17, 18, 15, 10. The value of mood is 10. Educational technology means technology in education, technology of education. Both of these. Answer on the both of these. Which one of the following is not a cause for forgetting? lack of reorganization of the learning material. When the reason for acting is in the action, motivation is said to be intrinsic. National Integration Day is November 19. The importance of teacher education was first emphasized by the Woods Dispatch. Taxonomy of educational objectives was first developed by Bloom. SSA is established for achievement of elementary education, whose philosophy is characterized as naturalistic in its setting, idealistic in its aim, and pragmatic in its method and program of work. Gandhi. Multi-factor theory of intelligence was developed by E.L. Thorndike. What does the expression "I am searching you" mean? I am searching your person. When A tells B, you look sick, you might be going in for flu, B's response should be, I think so. Which of the following is one of the Roman plays of Shakespeare? Coriolanus. Which American city is described by a poet as Hog Butcher for the World, Tool Maker, Taker of Wheat, City of Big Soldiers, Chicago? Repartee is a contest of wit. The aside is a dramatic device that reveals the inner thoughts of a character. It differs from a soliloquy in that the character is not alone on stage. By conventional, he is inaudible to the other characters. 1 or 3 question வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, how is the P in pant described? Voiceless, bilabial, stop. Identify the word which has the diphthong. I. A-I. Pie. Answer வந்து B. Pie. The 12th night in Shakespeare's England was the 12th night after Christmas. The impressive opening statement, I heartily accept the motto that government is best that governs the least, was made by Thoreau. Hayavadana is presented in the dash tradition, Hexagona tradition. Which of the following statement is true about the movement poets? They addressed everyday British life in plain, straightforward language. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer is an utterance by Miranda in The Tempest. Jethro Tull and Tanif Townsend are enduring figures in the history of the agricultural revolution. The tragedy of the Great Plague that struck London in 1645 was followed by the Great Fire. Lyre, the root word for the term lyric, refers to a musical instrument. The ode was an apt vehicle of expression for the Romantic poets because it provided for lyricism and passionate meditation. In the philosophy of composition, Poe discusses poetics with reference to the raven. Premchand's chess players are a literary device to depict the irony in the takeover of the kingdom. Premchand's chess players are a literary device to depict the irony in the takeover of the kingdom at the seat of government. Whether we look at the intrinsic value of our literature or at the particular situation of this country, we shall see the strongest reason to think that of all the foreign tongues, the English tongue is that which is the most suitable to our native subjects. Who expressed these views? Lord Macaulay. Dash plays an important role in the comedy The School for Scandal. Intrigue. The sonnet is a literary form that originated in Italy. The unpronounced B exists in debt and dub because they are derived from the dash words depitum and dapitum, Latin. The Great Depression happened in the year 1929. Plays Angelica deals with the question of untouchability. The film adaptation of Shaw's Pygmalion is My Fair Lady. Falstaff, the companion to Prince Hal, appears in 3 plays: Henry IV Part 1, Henry IV Part 2 and Merry Wives of Windsor. Who among the following are Literature's eminent Victorians? Florence Nightingale, Dr. Arnold. The movement poets in England belonged to the 1950s. Dash in Gulliver's Travels represent the European race, the Yagus. The first to establish the printing press in England was Caxton. The scarlet letter A in the novel by the same name stands for adultery. Two leaves and a bud is a refrain of a song about tea leaves picking. The rise of the periodical can be attributed to the emergence of England coffee houses. Jeremy Collier's pamphlet on the profaneness of the English stage addressed the theatre of the Restoration period. In a comedy, laughter is an end in itself, but Das uses laughter as a weapon satire. In medias res means in the middle of the things. I will not be afraid of death and ban till Brenham Forest come to Dulcinea. With reference to this statement by Macbeth, choose the right statement from below. The impossible happened through the moving wood episode. Which leaders said these words? We here highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln. The loss of faith that is lamented by the Victorian poets Tennyson and Arnold can be attributed to Darwin's publication of The Origin of Species. In a hymn to God the Father, the poet then concludes that though his sins are too many, he is not beyond redemption by Christ. Congress, the way of the world belongs to the period of Restoration. Das nailed 95 theses to the church door at Wittenberg. Martin Luther. Das lives on imaginary world and constantly refers to her life in a southern plantation where she had 17 gentlemen callers. Amanda Wingfield. The Indian poet who, as a gesture of protest, returned to the British crown the knighthood conferred was Rabindranath Tagore. Middle English evolved over the year as Das and Das mingled. Anglo-Saxon French. The pioneers of the sonnet in English are Wyatt and Surrey. The character who is made to appear ridiculous in yellow stocking is Malvolio. In Stevens' anecdote on this jar, the jar represents man. The immediate ancestor of modern English is Middle English. The term Das best describes the social structure of medieval England feudalism. Equable was to him the fatal Cleopatra for which he lost the world and was content to lose it. Who made this observation of Shakespeare's works? Johnson. Which of the following plays is about the devastating impact of the American dream on the common man? Death of a Salesman. Okay, thank you friends.